Hello everyone, and welcome to my video presentation on how to effectively incorporate the use of novelty into your own presentations. My name is Matt Magoon, and I'll be with you for the next little while here. Thank you for joining me. I want to start out first by giving you a little known fact that some of you may be very interested in, and that is, did you know that the human brain has a virtually limitless capacity for memories? That's right, no limit to the amount of memories the human brain can store. Did you also know that the human brain is more likely to remember a word if it is typed in a weird, irregular, strange, or otherwise different font, if it has novel value through that? And that's exactly what Novelty is doing right now, isn't it? It's being a bit novel with this font. And that just brings us to the heart of the matter here. What exactly is novelty? Well, novelty is something that's weird, something that's irregular, something that's new, something that's spontaneous, something that's humorous and funny. Things that stand out to our eyes and stand out to our ears, things that stick in our hearts and stick in our minds. Those things are novel. So, over the next little while here, I'm going to be filling you in on some of the major aspects of novelty as it pertains to presentations. And some of those major aspects of novelty just so happen to be, of course, first of all, the brain's affinity to novelty. How it works in the brain, why it works in the human brain. And then after that, we're going to touch on the elements of spontaneity. And spontaneity, of course, is a huge aspect of novelty, and we're going to break that down. And then after that, we're going to touch on the impact of humor, another huge aspect of novelty. And that's the humor, the funny aspect, the joy aspect. And then, of course, lastly, we're going to be going over some specific ideas and guidelines for using novelty in your presentations and ensuring that you get some novelty, adequate amounts of novelty into your own presentations. So, first of all, let's talk about the brain's affinity to novelty, how it works, why it works. So, first of all, I have these broken down into the basic, the simpler elements of novelty. And that, of course, is, first of all, new things and new ideas are novel because it satisfies our natural human curiosity. It works on a biological, philosophical, and physiological level that we don't have the time to get into here today, but all humans are curious, all humans want to learn, all humans are interested in new things and in new ideas that are, of course, of their genre and of things that are of their interests. And even things that aren't their interests, they can be drawn to if it's new. And then, of course, also uniqueness and individuality is an important element of novelty. Just how, like a piece of jewelry, a ring, or something that you might wear has novel value. It's because it's unique. You don't see everyone that has it. Very few people have that, if any. You identify with it. It gives you your sense of individuality. It is an affectation. It adds to you. It helps you self-identify. It's a piece of your flair. It's how you define yourself. It's a unique thing that reaffirms your sense of self. And you also create an emotional connection with it, with things that are unique and portray your individuality. Then also things that are unusual and rare have novel value. Now, for instance, this penny right here. This penny, because of its novel value and the fact that it's unusual and rare, is worth 10,000 times its 1 cent value. That's right, this is a $10 penny, because this is a wheat penny. There are not many of these. It's unusual, it's rare, you will not find very many wheat pennies around, and for whatever reasons, humans value these things that are rare and unusual. There are collectors everywhere. Everyone has a little bit of a hobby where they're like, oh, I want that, I want the rarest one, I want the best one. And humans love that unusual and rare aspect of novelty. Then, of course, next is our element of spontaneousness and astonishment. Spontaneous and astonishing elements, they satisfy our wow, our need for a wow factor. We love to be wowed. We love to see new things and wow, have our eyes just popped open by something crazy, new, and wild. And then, of course, those wow moments can change our perceptions. Those wow moments are great for changing our perceptions inside of the brain, a huge aspect. And then as well as changing our perceptions, those spontaneous and astonishing things, they also support memory retention because it just stands out. It gives us that little burst, that little electrical burst on our neurons that just burns that memory right in there. And then, of course, our last novel element are things that are just fun. And this aspect works with a whole broad spectrum of impacts. But for example, just plain fun aspect of novelty, let's talk about Groundhog's Day. It's a holiday that honestly doesn't mean too much. I mean, the cute little guy comes out and he pokes his head out, he sees it's winter, and then he's like, forget this, and he goes back in his little burrow. Meanwhile, we all kind of pig out and watch football, or we do whatever else is going on Groundhog's Day, and it's just because it's fun. Groundhog's Day has novel value, and people do it because it's novel, because it's just plain fun. Alright, and then, of course, that brings us nicely over here to our next section on elements of spontaneity. So, spontaneity, a huge aspect of novelty. Let's see, for instance, there's the shocker statistics and shocker facts. Those novel aspects are great for using in a presentation. For instance, did you know that 1 trillion seconds is nearly 30,000 years? That's just how big the number 1 trillion is. 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes an hour, etc. 1 trillion seconds is about 30,000 years. Now that shocker statistic, that was a little bit spur of the moment, and that's just chewing in your brain right now. You're chewing on that, and you're like, no way, I'm going to Google this. And you might even Google it later, and it does come out to be just a little bit under 30,000 years, depending on how you figure in leap years and stuff like that, if you want to get super technical. But the shocker statistic, the shocker fact, is a great way to pull some spontaneity onto people. And then, of course, visuals and demonstrations. I mean, how many scientific demonstrations have just wowed the audience? You put the chemicals together and the foam blows out of the beaker, and you get the visuals of the coral reef of James Cameron. He rounds the cliff, the underwater cliff, and then it opens up into a coral reef of 1 million phosphorescent glowing colors. Those visuals stick with people. Those visuals and those demonstrations, they stick with people, they stick in their mind. And then, of course, they also give them the jaw-dropper moment as well, and that's a huge part of spontaneity, is the jaw-dropper, the wow moment, the pop your eyes out of your head moment. People love a good jaw-dropper. I mean, there's nothing better. Look at these YouTube videos. Some of these internet videos have gone viral. They're all jaw-dropper moments. Sometimes they're mouth-covering and eye-covering moments, but it's just the same. Those are jaw-droppers. People are drawn to that. It's a human instinct. They click. They keep clicking. More. Give me more. Give me more jaw-droppers. And then, of course, there's emotionally charged moments. There's emotionally charged moments. It reminds me of a story about, or it's not a story, it's actually a video I saw, of a gorilla inside of a zoo. And then, of course, you have a boy down here who was inside of the gorilla cage. And then you're like, whoa, what's going on here? This kid needs to get out of that gorilla cage. And all of a sudden, this 1,000-pound male gorilla, this silverback, comes barreling at this kid. And the kid's like playing with a stuffed animal. He got out of the gift shop. Kid doesn't know nothing. He's just sitting right there. This gorilla comes barreling up. Everyone's like, oh no, this kid's dead. This kid's dead. Boom! The gorilla hits a plexiglass window and bounces off of it. And the kid starts giggling and doesn't even know what happened, and everyone's like, whoa, they went from horrible to relief and then laughter. And let me tell you what, that's an emotionally charged moment. Emotionally charged moments of spontaneity are so huge. Here, for example, here's a picture of some puppies. Now the emotions in here is obvious. That's adorable. No one can really resist that. You're all gonna go Google pictures of puppies later just because I showed that. You got such warm and positive emotions portraying from that. You just want to hug those little warm puppies, don't you? And then all of a sudden your emotions get switched. Your emotions get switched over to, of course, a killer whale tearing a seal in half. Now, I don't want to end on that note, but you get the idea that the emotional roller coaster, whoa, puppies to whoa, what did this guy just do? That's going to stick in your minds even later tonight and tomorrow. You'll probably talk about that puppy to killer whale moment. That is an emotional roller coaster. Give your people that. Give your audience that. But always try to end on a high note, of course. Emotionally charged moments that are negative are no good at all. And always be funny. Always laugh. Always have fun with your audience. Spontaneous. Have the fun, spur of the moment, fun moment. Audiences love that. Your presentation will glow with that. And that, of course, be funny, laugh, and have fun brings us, of course, to our next one, our next section here of the impact of humor. And of course, humor is important in all relationships. Family, friends, formal, informal, professional, business, etc. Humor's everywhere. There's a few stick in the muds, but I can guarantee to you the vast majority of the human race does enjoy humor, and humor is incorporated in all of their relationships. And that is because our brains are basically physiologically hardwired to love humor. And also humor lowers our defenses. It opens us up. It gets us past the first impression stage. It helps us to build rapport. It helps us to build camaraderie. It helps us to bond and become part of the same subgroups, part of the same in-group. And then, of course, humor. On the physiological level, humor supports memory retention through the feel-good hormone dopamine and others. The brain wants to remember good things, so we are programmed to remember good things extra. We remember good things more than we remember bad things and negative things. Dopamine and feel-good hormones support memory retention. And then, of course, lastly, here at the end, I just added on word of mouth. Things that are funny. People want to repeat those, and they want to tell those to their friends, and then that friend tells another one. And if your idea is tagged on to something funny, it keeps going. It goes viral. One to the next, one to the next. Boom, you are exploding exponentially. Your ideas in your presentation, everything in your presentation, it glows, and it keeps growing. So humor is huge. Do not ever, ever forget to imbue your presentations with humor. And then let's go to our last section here. Ideas for your presentations are basic guidelines to stick to make sure that you have adequate amounts of novelty in your presentation. And that is, of course, feed their curiosity. Your subject of presenting has something that will wow their curiosity factor and satisfy that new information and that new information need. And then, of course, catch their eye, catch their ear with a prop or a demo. Have a video of someone, a gymnast on fire, jumping into a pool of water safely, and have that proverbial picture of the glowing coral reef. Get something, get some eye candy in there. Get something, do the science experiment and make the stuff blow out of the beaker. Do it all. Catch their eye. Stick in their hearts, stick in their minds. Stay with them. And then, of course, don't be afraid to startle your audience a little bit. Take them on that gorilla or the gorilla and the boy, or the seal and the killer whale roller coaster. End on a good note. Always end on a good note. And of course, laugh with your audience. Don't be afraid to have a good time. Don't be afraid to have fun. Bond with them. When you laugh with your audience, you become part of the same group and you reaffirm each other, and you are then part of the same subgroup, same in-group. Don't just deadpan do jokes like a comedian. That'll work a little bit, but it's not going to be the most effective thing. Laugh with your audience, something that you love, something that they love, something that you'll both bond with on that level. All right, team, that was a wild ride. We just covered a lot there. So let's just review what we went over here. So first of all, we just kind of went over the brain's affinity to novelty, how it works, why it works, ins and outs. Then we touched on a major aspect of novelty, and that is, of course, spontaneity. And then after that, we touched on humor, another major aspect of novelty. And then we went over just some simple guidelines for you to get enough novelty into your presentation. So I want to wrap this video up quickly now with a quote from Maya Angelou. All right? She says, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." Wow, those are deep words, not to be thrown around casually. However, it doesn't change the fact that that quote rings so true pertaining to your presentations. I mean, you have to have the passion for what you're presenting, always. That's a given. We've established that. You have to have the compassion. You have to empathize with your audience. Put yourself in their shoes. You have to do that. You have to share with them and be them, transcend. And, of course, use some humor. You have to have humor. Be funny. Appeal to people through humor. Everyone loves humor. It's the best in to connection. It's the best way to segue into connect and to break down those barriers and to get people to open up and to become to become one and the same. And then, of course, do it all with some style. Throw your own flair in there. Throw some of your own panache, some of your own little bings and bows and blings and bams. Put it all in there. All right. Well, I just want to end this now and thank you all for giving me your valuable time here tonight. I hope I was useful in giving you a little bit of wisdom on novelty and how to incorporate novelty into your presentations. It was fun. My name's Matt Magoon. You have a great night. Take care, everyone. Thank you.